question 4. This is that should OUSA adopt the following motion, yes or no, that OUSA only withdraw from New Zealand Union of Students Associations, NZUSA, after such withdrawal has been approved by a binding referendum of the student body. Now, I've got the name Brittany Travers here. I'm not sure if she is here. If she is, would she like to speak to this? Well, at that point, would anyone else like to discuss this? Yes, Harriet.
We had a number of motions put forward from different people about NZUSA, so I'm just going to speak to them all at once. The first two are pretty much the same, that we should only withdraw after, well, the first three all really meld in together, that OUSA only withdraw from NZUSA after a referendum, that nationwide student representation matters are best decided by the student body. It's a bit of a moot point once you get into the question. Question number 6, what should OUSA stance towards NZUSA be? And that OUSA should withdraw its membership from NZUSA versus OUSA should remain a member. Do you want me to wait until then?
I'd say just speak to them all now.
Alright. Do you have a few notes on this? So, OUSA is a member of the New Zealand Union of Students Associations, and it is our national representative body that is situated up in Wellington. And that membership has been questioned by OUSA, or at least certain exec members over the years many times, and it's also been questioned by a lot of other student associations and students on our campus. My first interaction with NZUSA, I'd never heard of it when I was just average Joe student, and I didn't know what NZUSA was, and to be honest I don't think it had that much of an impact on my life as a student before getting involved in student politics. But my first interaction was going to one of the conferences up in Auckland when I'd first been elected, and there was a lot of chat and a lot of discussion about student issues, and there was a lot of this is what NZUSA is and our grand lofty goals of lobbying for students on a national level. And don't get me wrong, I think that's really important. There are a lot of issues, and as a student, a current student, and I'm soon to be returning to doing more papers and not being involved in student politics anymore once I'm done being OUSA president, I am concerned about tertiary education, about my degree, and that I'm getting the best out of it. And that is very much dictated by government, so I think it's important that we do have a voice to government about our issues. What I'm concerned about is our current model for doing so. Currently we pay $90,000 a year to an organisation that is based up in Wellington with an office on Lambton Quay that organises a bunch of conferences each year to talk about these issues. And it's all very well meaning, but it's quite an ineffective model in that recently there were some changes that it used to be the University Students Association, now it covers Polytech as well and Wānanga. And I mean, that's fine that we do have a lot of shared goals and a lot of shared interests, but what is the end result is that we've got an organisation of 4 people with a lot of information, requests, different issues from students across the entire country, all filtered into that one small model. And it wasn't my first option to say that I think we should withdraw, but my first option was to look at, okay, well, can we make this a model that works? Can we all work together and have that organisation just focus on those issues that are nationwide issues, like student loans and allowances, and issues that affect everyone that we all agree on. But instead there's so much of that $90,000 from the OUSA budget that we've all just talked about. It goes into admin costs and running that organisation and running a lot of training, doing research, and a lot of stuff that is completely surplus to the requirements of OUSA. And all the time as well that is spent by those up in the national office gets completely diluted into a lot of smaller things that aren't necessary and aren't relevant to us. But then we've started having a lot more issues, and that when we do want to focus on something big, because there's so much that's diluting attention and so much that's taken away from that core goal of lobbying on national issues, it all gets a bit lost. And And when we've tried to go out and do it on our own, like contacting MPs ourselves up in Wellington saying, hey, I'm Harriet, I'm the president of the Otago University Students Association, we've got some issues, we want to talk about student loan changes. We've actually had quite a barrier that they've said, sorry, we only want to talk to NZUSA. And that the issues that we have tried to talk about, it all gets completely filtered, and a lot of our own personal messages get really lost in the mix. And yeah, just trying to summarise quickly that, well, they have some really good goals, NZUSA, but it's quite an ineffective model that our funding goes to conferences and training that we don't really need, goes to an office on Advocate and the overheads of that, goes to a lot of salaries as well, and that $90,000 could be spent so much better if we were to use it directly ourselves, or even if we were just to have some Skype calls for free with other student presidents and delegate someone to go and advocate to MPs, or to even hire a professional that could be based in Wellington, a professional lobbyist that could go talk to MPs for a much reduced cost. And I mean, there's a lot of other little issues as well that I think Megan, the OUSA president, wants to talk about as well, but that's essentially the main issue that I see, is that the model isn't working, we're spending a lot of money and we're not getting a lot out of it. I mean, the big issue that's been focused on this year is VSM, and that's gone through relatively unchanged, and when there's been other issues like StudyLink and those changes, they've gone pretty under the radar. I mean, there was hardly any lobbying or advocacy on the fact that loans are going to be reduced to 7 full-time years, and that's going to be applied retrospectively according to your grades as well. There hasn't been a lot done, but we're spending a lot of money on that. So that's what I'll say for now. If anyone's got more questions about any of the details, I'm happy to answer. Yeah.
I'll ask the meeting's opinion on this. We're in the middle of this discussion, but we have a few people who need to leave that want to discuss the opposition to the Code of Conduct. Would anyone mind putting this discussion on hold and coming back to it after we've discussed the Code of Conduct? That's a bit unorthodox. Yeah. So, is that all right, Harriet? Great. Well, then at this